Goodness gracious, ranch hands, what a mess. Let's see if we can untangle some of this and get this back in the right order. Wow, this happens a lot when they have these rains, big rains come in and drop 2 inches in one day, one night, and our wet weather springs and our wet weather creeks, rather, spill over their banks, and this is what happens. These water gaps, most of them, they're not made to be bulletproof. They're made to break away. That way you can come repair them when the water recedes. If I can figure out which one is the bottom strand, we can get somewhere. I think this is our bottom strand right here. But we gotta get the rest of it to cooperate. Make sure you have a good pair of gloves when you're working with barbed wire. I have yet to find one. Maybe these will be the ticket. I splurged a little bit and I bought some Danner gloves. Let's see how these hold up. Then you get tangled up with your shirt. I've gone through hundreds of pairs of gloves, it seems like, and they never last very long. Doesn't matter if you go to the feed store or the lumber yard or wherever you buy your gloves, they just don't seem to last, especially when you're dealing with barbed wire. All right, I'm gonna have to go upstream and see if I can untangle somewhere else and come back to this spot. The way to roll up barbed wire is when you get your roll started, keep some tension on it, roll on one side of your loop for a while, and then switch over and roll your other side. And like I said earlier, we're just patching this up and keeping the cows out, or in rather. We're not trying to build an elaborate water gap right down here. They're just made to break away so you can come back and fix them when the rain passes through. I just don't see a need in building an elaborate water gap, because it just doesn't math. There's our bottom strand. All right, I think we're ready to go to the other end, untangle that, and start putting our wire up. All right, so here's what we've done. We've got our old wire here, and this is our splice. So all we do is we put a loop in our old wire and wrapped it back on itself, and then we run our splice through our loop, and then hold our splice with our fencing pliers and wrap here, and we have to go down to the other end and do the exact same thing. I just wanted to show a close-up of how we do our splice. And since this is just a water gap, I don't want it to be tight, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a good bluff to keep the cows out, or keep them in and keep them out of the county road. And this is how we do it. I've got it about the tension I want it. My wood posts at the water gap they're standing up just from the tension of this top wire. So we're gonna repeat this 2 more times and do our 3 strands, and we'll assess from there. Look here, ranch hands, it can happen that fast. If you're not paying attention, you gotta hold the right end of the barbed wire when you cut it, or it'll spring up and it'll get you. It can happen in an instant. All right, we're getting close to finishing up. I just wanted to show you how to put the post clip on the post. First thing we do, a little trick that was taught to me. See how this end is kind of opened up a little bit. So what I like to do, and what was shown to me, is you take your pliers and you close that up a little bit. See, it's not quite as open. That will help you hold your wire on to your post while you're tying it. Then you hook it on this side and around the back. Then you take the handle of your plier, you put it in that side, and you just twist around. Get it snug. And then you grab that end, you twist on that side. Twist it there, and that's all you got to do. It's as simple as that. All right, we are done. Just kind of give you a quick overview of what we got accomplished. So we got our wire untangled and stretched back out. Most of this was just 3 strand through this little stretch of timber here, and that's really all that's necessary when you're running fence through the woods. I did add a 4th strand along the bottom that goes across the creek bank that joins up at that first post, and then we just re-stretched our wire and patched it and took it all the way over to this shared fence. And it's not perfect, and that's not what we're going for. It doesn't need to be perfect in a setting like this. Just as long as you got 3 strands to keep your cattle in, that's good enough. And I added that 4th strand along the water as an extra deterrent to keep them from sticking their heads underneath and walking underneath the barbed wire and going on through. So if they keep getting out, we might have to add some rocks. So I've seen where you just wrap some wire around a rock and tie it to that bottom strand and hold it down. Hopefully it won't come to that, but you never know. We'll keep an eye on it and check it for a while and hope for the best. Well, ranch hands, I think that will about do it for today's video. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one. And as always, be faithful.